I am Suzette Bateman. I was born and raised in the FLDS group.
Hey everyone, for this video we are reviewing Escaping Polygamy Season 3, Episode 2. This one focuses on Suzette's life. She has been in the Mormon fundamentalist group, which is known as the FLDS, with the prophet Warren Jeffs. But we're going to see her talk a lot about the previous prophets before Warren Jeffs, because her grandfather was Rowland Jeffs, Leroy Johnson, or else Rowland Jeffs. At some point throughout the episode show who exactly it was.
I am 52 years old. When I married my husband, he had 2 wives and 14 kids already. And we have 8 girls, 6 boys, and I was married to him for 29 years.
But we've seen a lot of FLDS members talk about the dramatic differences between the different rulers in the group. And so her being able, I'm not sure exactly, it doesn't specify how old she is. It just says that she was married for 29 years. She's got 8 kids. So she's been in the group for quite a while. And we're going to see kind of her description of what some of those changes were and what things stood out to her, what made her eventually come to realize that she didn't agree with the group anymore, and why she wanted to leave. So let's get right into it.
It was a threat to my husband. It was a threat to the priesthood. It was a threat to my sister wives.
Okay, so one thing that she mentions right off the bat is that she would pay very close attention to Rowland Jeffs' prophecies and things that he would say in the church meetings. And one thing that really sunk deep with her was when he would say that there can be no other gods other than the God that they worshipped, right? The exact wording is a little bit hard to specify, but anyways, that's besides the point. So she notices that Rowland Jeffs is constantly saying that there can be no other God, no one can be in God's image, God's the only one that gets to claim the title is God. And then once Rowland dies and Warren Jeffs becomes the new prophet and takes the place as the leader over the group, she notices in one of his speeches, he says, and I don't want to mess this up, I want to make sure it's correct because she is very particular about the wording because it really affected her. She says that he is as God to his people. And so she instantly interprets that as he is saying that he's basically their God and they need to worship him as if he were God. Sure, other people might have interpreted it differently, like the members might have just saw that as him saying that he's God's spokesperson or like he's God's prophet, but she kept going back and really made sure that she heard him correctly, and he said it multiple times, and it confirmed to her that he was, at least the way he was saying it, was basically saying that he is as God to his people, right? And so she instantly starts to realize that she does not agree with that. So she is directly going against what the new prophet now is saying because she doesn't believe it. And it's funny because the reason she doesn't believe it is because of the previous prophet and what he taught, that no one else can claim to be God or to take God's name upon themselves. And that's why she has such a firm belief that this has to be false doctrine, because of the previous prophet that I would say is also a false prophet too, but that she believed at the time was a true prophet. And then the new true prophet that all of the people agree is the new prophet and will take the place of the prophet is now saying doctrine against what she was taught by the previous prophet. So there's conflicting beliefs now, and they're being taught by the prophet himself, and she's recognizing this. Now, what she does is even more interesting, though, because it goes to show how little of a say or little of what people can do in these groups, because she recognizes that there's an issue here, right? And so her first thought is, okay, we need to get to the bottom of it, find a solution, figure out what the true interpretation, maybe he didn't mean it, maybe something's wrong. So she goes to her husband. And this person is supposed to care about her, that she's been married to for 29 years, has 8 children with, and she explains her concerns to her husband. And instead of him contemplating them and wanting to discuss them with her, he instantly shoots her down and tells her that you cannot question the prophet. Any type of going against what he teaches or trying to say he said something wrong is forbidden. Like, that's something that's going to start questioning the priesthood, questioning the whole organization. That's going to make everyone go against them and their family, and they're going to be shunned. So he doesn't even want to like have the discussion or even look into it. He wants to just completely make it stop, make it go away, not even think about it, because he doesn't want any type of argument or anything that makes him look bad amongst his other peers or the other people in the community. So I guess it took her this long, but this is one of those things, and it's kind of crazy because maybe this is one of the few times she ever felt confident enough to actually like have these discussions or go up against the authority. I don't want to say fight back, because she's not even fighting. She is just finally questioning, just asking questions. And she finally has the confidence to ask these questions because she heard directly controversial things that are both coming directly from the prophet, but they contradict each other. So they're directly controversial, and she finally is questioning it and instantly gets shut down and doesn't get any answers, doesn't get anyone that wants to even like look into her questions and her concerns. So that right there, to me, it shows very clearly that not only do they not take their questions very seriously, but they rarely ever even get a chance to ask their questions or to bring up their concerns, because it's looked down upon and they are ashamed for questioning anything that someone above them asks them to do or tells them to believe. And so they're so used to just going along with it and doing it. And so she's running into this issue, and it's opening her eyes to way more things in the group that just don't sit right with her.
I did not qualify for the United Order. All of my girls did but one.
Okay, so some of her kids were also taken and put into this United Order that the FLDS has, which is an exclusive member group inside of the group. And it's essentially supposed to be the perfected or the best of the best people, but they are just selected by the leaders, the people above them, pick and choose who's in this group. And so in her situation, she is the only one, along with one of her daughters, I believe, that doesn't get selected, and all the rest of her daughters get taken away from her family and get put into this United Order. And so now, not only is she not getting any of her questions answers or anyone even looking into her concerns, but they're taking away her children and saying that she's not worthy for them anymore.
My younger kids were scared. They came rushing in and they goes, "We gotta go right now, Mom. We cannot stay here. They're gonna separate us from you. They're gonna take us all away." And at that point, I knew it was danger to stay.
So Warren Jeffs was the one that implemented the whole United Order. So this is a fairly new thing. I mean, now in our day and age, it's been happening for quite a while. But at least for her, this is a new thing that Warren Jeffs himself has implemented, and the previous leaders have never done anything like this.
So my daughter went to see Warren Jeffs and got counseling for 3 months. She went every week. And about 3 appointments out, I got this horrible gut feeling that something was wrong. Horribly wrong.
So she brings up a time when she was still living in the FLDS community, and 2 of her daughters have gotten into arguments with their father. And their father thought that they weren't righteous enough, so they should go and get some counseling, go have a meeting with the prophet and things like that. And the mother wasn't sure what to do, so she eventually gave in, told them, and that she agreed with the husband and wanted those 2 daughters to go and receive counseling from Warren Jeffs. And it's not until about 3 months into them, I think it was weekly, that they were going and receiving this counseling from Warren Jeffs, that she finally starts to look into what some of the meetings are about and what essentially counseling them on. And all of it has to do with marriage and trying to get them prepared for marriage and talking about how that's basically their only value is for them to get married. And she instantly starts to regret and feels bad about encouraging them and even oftentimes being the one to take them to these counseling. And she was never allowed to go into them and didn't know exactly what was going on in the counseling, but she eventually does realize and find out that they are basically just being prepared to be married and have a bunch of babies. And this counseling is all about drilling their self-worth into this attachment of being a mother and having these children, and that's all that their value is in. And so she starts kind of taking it upon herself and feeling bad for allowing her kids to go through that. And then what's even the worst on top of that eventually is when she does prepare to leave, and when the whole United Order thing happens, those two girls are the only ones that end up staying and won't go with her. And so she feels like she kind of helped them to, first of all, become selected and picked in this United Order to become a part of it, and then they weren't willing to, they didn't want to leave with her when she was trying to leave the community with her family. Those two girls were the ones that ended up staying and are still in the group. So she wants to try and get them or help them or do something, but as of right now, they're still within the group in that United Order.
That's my daughters, Susie and Rosie.
Okay.
It's the latest picture we have of those two. This is Susie May.
Oh, okay. So she left, and a lot of her kids end up leaving with her, but those two girls, right? And now she's moved back into the community, I think by herself. She doesn't specify if she brought any kids back with her, but she's moved back into the FLDS community into the Colorado City community in Arizona, one that's like on the border of like Arizona and Utah, in that area. And she moves back into there, and she basically has to try and repent and get back in good standing with this community, and she's doing it to try and get contact with her two daughters again, so that she might be able to reach out to them or help them or any type of way that she can just connect with them. Really interesting. She's going back to the community in hopes to find her daughters.
And I want them to know that I never did abandon them, that I have kept them in my heart since I've left.
I'm sitting here listening to Suzette, and I realize she's holding on to so much guilt that she raised them in that and that she left them there.
Guilt for those two girls that are still stuck in it. And she feels like she feels obligated and she needs to help them and be there for them. So she's going back to the community that she doesn't believe in, doesn't want to be a part of, but she feels that she has to, so that she can be there for those two daughters and try and help them in any way that she can. And she has to convince the people, the community, that she's like basically there to be a part of the group again. Otherwise, they'll never trust her enough to let her see the children. It's really interesting how this one's going and how it's going to play out, because it's pretty rare that something like this works out successfully. The community is really good at, once they cut you off, they don't really let you back in. There are rare exceptions, and generally more often, I guess, with girls that sometimes are able to go back to the community and can kind of make it work. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how this one plays out, and I hope she's able to get her daughters. But even if she does get in contact with her daughters and is able to see them again, just like we saw a few episodes ago with Lizzie and her daughter Julie, the daughter no longer considered her biological mother, Lizzie, as her mother. And so even though she was able to get her, had the chance to go away with her, the daughter refused and wanted to stay within the United Order in the community. So who knows? Who knows if her daughters will even go with her when she is able to reach them. But let's see what happens.
So what did you find out?
Well, you ain't gonna find her around here.
Okay. Susie May or Rosie?
Susie May, she been sent out to House of Hide to repent.
So there's an informer from the FLDS who wants to remain anonymous, just like the insider from the Kingston group that shares information about the order. With this, the FLDS informer, they did blur out his face and kind of altered his voice, but they still showed him, and I'm sure any FLDS members watching this would be able to pinpoint or find out who that person is. So it's kind of interesting to me. Maybe the FLDS informant wasn't as picky about keeping it a secret, or less FLDS members watch things online, so it's less likely that he'll be seen by them in these videos. But it does kind of go to show why the insider or the order member informer was so secretive. Like if you watch the parts, and there's a whole episode about them, they don't even want to come out of the shadows. They stay behind a tree the majority of the times that they ever meet up with them, and they pretty much stay out of the camera's view the entire time. And I think this could be a part of why. Like, it's hard to stay completely anonymous, and it's extra scary too when your entire family and your lifestyle and all the people around you will turn against you the moment that you get caught. And I don't think the producers realize that. They still need to protect their identity. And of course, the producers are doing their best. They're respecting their decision. They blur it out. They change the voice and stuff. And again, maybe this informant wasn't as picky about how secretive he wanted it to be. But I feel like that makes sense to me as to why the insider, the older member informant, was extremely cautious and very careful about it. Even though it was probably a little bit more annoying for the producers, but there's way more on the line for these individuals than I think the producers even realize. So that kind of makes sense as to why that's happening. But this does go to show that there's lots of informants from every polygamous community that are willing to share some of the insider information.
Do you know where this house of hiding is? Oh, picture of the house.
Yeah. About 2 hours from Colorado City.
And she's at this house?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
Okay, so the informant does help them to get a good idea for where the daughters are at. So they could try and reach out and see if they can connect the daughters with their mom.
Hi. Would Susie May happen to be here?
Steve's haven't lived up here for years.
Oh, really? I just came to tell her I love her.
I don't have a lot to do with
Yeah.
Susie.
That she hasn't lived up there for years?
Yeah. That's a lie.
Wow, so not only are they not told her where her daughter has been for years, she finally finds out. They have these private investigators go and confirm that she is at this home, and so she drives out there, knocks on the door, and just asks if she could see her daughter, and they lie to her and say that she hasn't been there for years. And that's it. There's nothing else that she can do. They turn her away and she's not able to see her daughter. The guts it must have taken her to do that. That'd be so hard. And now she's like raised the red flags, like they're gonna be watching her. They know that she's trying to get a hold of her daughter now. And they're going to keep her daughter even more like in secret and where she's at.
What are you looking for?
I'm actually her mother. Just want to make sure she's okay. I'm doing all right. I haven't seen her for 5 years.
Goodness, so it's been 5 years. Oh my gosh, it's been 5 years. Oh, I'm sure she's feeling very defeated, but she ends up, when they're leaving the property, they find someone else, another member that's been living there, and they ask him, have you seen Susie May? And he says, oh, not for a very long time. And then he's like, oh, I don't know who that is. And so they catch him right then and there lying about even knowing Susie May.
There's no way, because I saw a woman in that window, and that window, and one up there, all at the same time.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'd love to see Susie.
You're not simple. I know you're not simple, Susie.
They continue to wait on the property and kind of look around a little bit. And like, I guess what looks like the mother of the household, the lady that's been assigned the mom over all these children in this house, comes out and asks them to leave and asks what they want. And that she just keeps saying she wants to see her daughter. She knows that Susie's in the house. They've seen her. And the mom says, I'm the only girl that's here. There's no other girl. You must have thought that I was Susie. And then at that same time, there's girls looking out of the window and they can see them. And she's like, you must not be right in the head. Or she calls them simple. It's interesting. She says that they must not be simple as a reference to they're going crazy or something. It's kind of weird. But then she just tells them to leave and goes back inside the house.
Hey, you guys want to fill me in on your side first?
Okay, I'm the mother of a girl that was living here.
Okay.
I know she was living here. So I came to check on my daughter. They're saying she's never been here, which is a lie.
The cop has like a lot of facial hair and he looks a little bit like he doesn't quite look like a member of the community, but he was right in the community, so they're kind of worried if he might be a part of the God Squad or one of the cops that are members of the community. But as of right now, he doesn't quite seem like that, so we're going to see what he ends up doing, if he's helpful.
You know, we can file a missing persons report, but
And I realize she's 29. You know, she has ways to make her own choices.
I mean, she hasn't run away or anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Interesting. Okay. So the cop clearly isn't a part of the community and he's trying to be really helpful, but the issue is that the daughter at this point in time is 29. So she's a full grown adult. And because there was no like missing persons report, no report of the child running away or anything like that, then there's not anything that the law can do. Which, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, when they're that old, they should be able to make their own decisions. And I get the mother feels partially responsible for, raising the child in that and kind of helping to teach them that that's the way to live. Now she has come to realize that that's not how she actually feels, and she regrets teaching her children that. But the kids still believe that. I mean, they're not even kids anymore. Her kids, they're full-grown adults, are living in that lifestyle and they truly believe it and that's what they've been a part of and they're dedicated to, that it's almost like it's too late, by this point there's not a whole lot that can be done. With that being said though, I still do think it's going to make an impact onto those kids' minds and when they see their mother fighting for them and wanting to be there for them. I think that will make an impact and hopefully help them to think twice about what type of religion that they're in.
Yeah, that is Rosie.
Pull up to her. Pull up to her and Suzette, roll down your window and say, I love you. Like, roll it down. I don't know what else to do. Oh my gosh.
I feel like they must have seen this coming. Now that she's attempted to even just see her daughter, then she doesn't even dare to go back home to the home that she had in the community. And so she was trying to kind of like make her way back into the community and gain their trust back, but now all that is lost. Knows what she's trying to do, everyone's trying to stop her, and it's just going to be extra hard for her to even see her daughters.
If Suzette ever wants to try to talk to her girls again, I will be there. This is a process. I went through my own process as well.
Not give up. She asked the private investigators to kind of like keep an eye out around the house and find a time when Suzette's going to be leaving the house. I get where she's coming from, and I can never understand what it's like being a mother trying and wanting so desperately to see your child. But it's become so clear that she doesn't want to see her mother. And so even though the private investigators they figure out a time when she's going to be leaving and they figure out where she'll be heading to, and they have Suzette, the mom, go like somewhere along the path to meet her when she's out. And she meets up with them and pulls up to the car that has her daughter in it. Her own daughter hits into the car that her mom's in to try and stop them from following her, and then just peels off and leaves. So it's nothing's going to work at this point. The daughter has clearly made her decision that she doesn't want to see her mom. In fact, she wants to avoid her mom so badly. And I feel like the mom, maybe she's just hoping for a different result, but I feel like she has to know that we've seen it with a lot of the members. Once they have a unrighteous family member, then it's like the person still in the group has to double down basically on showing their worthiness or how much they are dedicated to the community. So the daughter could very likely feel obligated to chase her mother away and go to extreme lengths to not see her mother, to kind of show that she's dedicated to the religion, that she doesn't want anything to do with people that aren't, members in the group. And so that's exactly what we're seeing right here. The daughter is doing anything and everything she can to not see her mother, to avoid her and to stay away, because in the religion, she's an apostate. They can't see her. She's going to basically turn them all into demons. And so if she's going to be viewed as a dedicated member, she basically has to do that to show that she wants nothing to do with outsiders. And that way she will continue to be accepted and probably even praised in the community for going to those extreme lengths to not let her mom pollute her mind and things like that. So yeah, once again, she puts forth a lot of effort to try and see her daughter, and it doesn't work out. And it just shows very clearly that they have convinced the daughter of a certain way to live her life, and she's committed to that, And for the foreseeable future, that's the way she's going to live her life, and there's not a whole lot that can be done about it. So, wow. I think we might be at the end of the series, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching these, stay tuned, because we're done with all the Escaping Polygamy series. At least I think. There may be one more. But after this one, we're going to be Daughters of a Cult. So definitely go and watch those ones, and we'll be talking about it here on this channel. So see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Cecilia, thanks for that report. Breaking the Faith airs Sunday nights on TLC.